So welcome everybody. This is session number 2000. No, it isn't, but let's pretend it is, of the Innovation Cafe. It's a place where we talk about corporate innovation, how to transform an idea into a viable business. We've had many different guests before from all over the world. And today we are going to talk about something nobody talked about before, micro ideas, right?
Yep.
I think that's the theme. And I also like your concept of coffee ideas, which is
Yep.
quite similar to the Innovation Cafe. So over to you, Waldek. You are the start today. The floor is
Thank
yours.
you, Hugo, for introduction. And just for a start, thank you very much for everybody who decided to spend 1 hour with the story that I am going to share with you. And I presented a few slides really to go fast over those slides, really to understand for you guys what I'm thinking about. Because this is really about the journey that actually, thanks to the fact, I will just put it on the fulls. Yeah. Thanks to this, I am where I am in a sense of the reflection, and I see some of the familiar faces that help me to be where I am. So first of all, I will talk about why I am believing that it may work, because first of all, I made my journey with the English BP, with the fuel station, with the French company doing the retail centers, with the Dutch company doing Philips offices, but also industrial part. Then I moved to Swedish company called Skanska, where I was doing both offices and the support function with digital. Today I'm in a Polish company. You see the bird in the middle, which is the kind of a logo of Poland, where I'm doing residential. So I made kind of a tour of Europe. At the same time, I made a tour of different businesses in real estate, which is pushing me always to see the things with a different perspective. That started to be a kind of a all the time motto, to see the things from the different perspective, like a dice, that you see the square of the dice, which is a different number of the dots on every side. And that's why I strongly believe this zoom in, zoom out, but also discussing and asking the question, especially in listening to the diverse perspective, is great. That gave me, again, the inspiration not to look only inside my sector, but go really outside, which is, for example, sport or the music. And I started to discuss with sport people, with music people, what we can convert between one skill and another between the sectors. What I can learn from sport people about teamwork, what I can learn about creativity from the artist. And I created this set of chats based on passion where we can create the value. I started to organize different things and it was kind of after work, even though I was still representing my company. At that time it was Echo Investment, the Polish developer. I started to put people on one bench, artists, sociology, and the business, that they discussed, and they were trying to find the common grounds. And to my big surprise, even more, to the big surprise of those who were sitting on that bench, they had so many things to exchange. So we started to dive a little bit into the concept. We started also together with some friends observe how the world is changing, that it's no longer only profit, that we are discussing purpose, that we are discussing values, that power is so much distributed and transparency is so much needed. So all those things that are happening are requiring the new skills on the labor market. One of the things which is very personal, maybe a little bit egoistic, I am doing those things because I strongly believe that this kind of approach will give you being relevant on the labor market, being relevant in a sense of employability in the long term, which is for me kind of a personal security. So by doing this, I started to look for social skills that actually on this picture I really pushed for those who are starting with C, which is curiosity, creativity, community, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and for the sake of that discussion, empathy starts with C as well. And then I decided to do something apart from the chat, which is kind of a concrete, because I will come back to the end, that talking is cheap, execution is everything. So I said I need to do something about it. And I went to one of the software houses from my city. I'm living in Łódź. This is in WeDo. I think it's like an innovation WeDo, which is also thinking beyond standard thinking and looking for the opportunity where we can improve both work and life, both the way how we work and the way how we live and use technology for that sake. And we created the application, which you can use on any mobile, because this is the web application. Together, it was a kind of a learning process for me, because I started to be kind of almost 50 years a startupper in my mind. Just to create something which is giving you the chance to drink coffee and have micro learning. And I strongly believe this micro learning, this learning opportunities can, if implemented, of course, can create the change. So what is extremely important for Coffee Ideas? Set of values. We made kind of a summary of what we believe in. And first, this was sharing is caring. By doing this, we said that if you help, you learn. It's never better way to learn something if you help the others understand the topic. Another thing, how to continue and how to make a good conversation is not to say yes, but instead you should say yes and. Yes, but is a nice word of saying no. We are living in such a world that it's okay to ask, it's not okay not to ask. So curiosity is another way. Listen, share, rephrase, and create. This is the value that I strongly believe is related to implementation. And this is very challenging, but a lot of people are telling me that they like it the most. Celebrate someone else's success. Whatever you create during those sessions, it's your joy to contribute to someone else's success. And with that being said, this is kind of a motto. If you go for Coffee Ideas session, you connect with people, you need to be happy and have nothing to do if they gain something, whatever it is, it's a monetary gain or just a value gain, just solving the problem. So we created this application to connect the various skills, various talents, whether it's the more diverse, the better. During this application, you have time to take some takeaways. And you can be used, I can share with you where we already use it. The conferences, coffee breaks, so just can be, I don't know, maybe happy hours for coffee shop. I know it works in a sense. Before we started, we tested some ideas also. This is from London, the book from Mr. Douglas McWilliams, who created the book concept, A Flat White Economy, who was describing the hipsters who were beloving flat white coffee, over which they were really creating the big part of the business in London. We all need new ideas, and also by having those ideas and sharing with the others, we can create the network of the people based on those values. So anybody who have talents, and I strongly believe each of us has certain passion and can contribute with whatever we did in the past or we are doing today. I remember my one conversation with IBM CEO for Central Eastern Europe. And actually we started that, we ended our discussion with the business for 5 minutes, then we dive into science fiction books, etc. So it was really extremely important discovery for me that even such important person may have some passion. For me, it was kind of a jaw-breaking moment that I realized that it's good to take those stories from people and share it with the others. So extremely important element of that session is able to listen and able to be ready to ask for help. So where you can do it and how you can do it anyway, because anywhere. We hope that it's easy. It's time limited. I strongly believe that this limitation to 15 minutes gives you the kind of a turbo power to create a team and focus on something. But at the end of the day, life is also limited to a certain period of time. If you think about the length of your time, you have a limited number of 15 minutes in your life as well. And what is extremely important for that, the people which are put together, I will tell you about it, they are put randomly together to discuss. Randomness is one of the elements of this creativity innovation. So you can go to that application if you go for Coffee Ideas. This is not, as I said, this is both for Android and iPhones applicable. You can put your name, you can put your title, even role, and you put also your passion or what you can help with if you want to go for the discussion with somebody else. And you've got also kind of based on who, where, when, and how, the concept, how to formulate the problem. This is one of the things that we discovered, which is difficult, but it's also important for innovation, how to formulate the problem in a proper way to be able to get people work on it. So we've got some kind of a suggestion of what kind of a question you should ask to really ask for help. And people are asking for different things. These are just the examples. How combine music with business? I eat too much sweets, or I find difficult to train in regular way. And it was funny. I don't know how it happened that sometimes really it was fitted to get those helps from sport people in this particular case. So then, if you have the topics, we push the button and we attribute people by definition of different passions together over one topic. The one who stated the problem is having the logo and the statement of the problem on the screen. They are finding each other, they grab the coffee, they start the meeting, and they have 15 minutes of a focus. What is extremely important in today's world, I think we are running too fast, we are tasking, and this, I don't want to call it mindfulness moment, but really focus moment is extremely important to come through the first minutes to presenting, to talk, and to get the ideas that maybe nobody else could help you with because you are working every day with the same people, wearing the same suits, or thinking about the same things. And this is kind of a after or before work opportunity to get those 30 minutes of discussion, and they have the time to take those takeaways. So this is, I don't take it as a promotion of a concept itself, but this is what I strongly believe. When you are going to corporate, when you go to meet people, you can really ask different questions than always. We tested it with students, we tested it in coffee places, and that was a time before COVID. And actually, it was a moment that we also tested with the musicians, with sport people put together. It was a session for 50 people. And what was extremely important, that set of values was kind of a driver to jump into discussion, to help each other, to support each other. And COVID came. COVID came and the habits and behaviors changed by force. And that was a moment that we discussed many times before, that maybe we should think about eversion. And this eversion was the last thing I really wanted to do, and I really didn't want to touch it even. But I realized that we also need to have this kind of approach even if we cannot meet in person. So we created the session in the virtual form. We created the sessions and we tested this tool. It works. We still is under preparation, but still it goes with 4 steps. You need to be present, you need to be open, you need random people to listen and learn, you need to be ready to support each other, and then I think what is extremely important, apart from summing up the ideas, you need to implement them, test them, but you create the network of people. What I'm really believing, this is already second time today I'm showing this concept, that if you do not implement your ideas, you are just insane and you cannot count on innovation. This is very simple mathematics, concept, but if one of those elements, creativity or action, is 0, innovation will never happen. So what I'm really telling, it's grab your coffee without even any application and ask the questions that you would never ask the others. And I think that's kind of an inspiration also for me when I see today the tools, how to enhance the remote work. It's not okay to be all the time very serious. So this is all from me as an introduction of the concepts that actually came a long time ago with that concept of dice that actually gave me the kind of a courage to enhance those questions inside the corporates, just to have the idea, different perspective, and then implement and test and maybe scale it up to the solution which is sustainable one. Thank you very much. That was just an intro, and Hugo, I know that now it's time to have discussion.
It was pretty fast. Thanks for the quality in being on time. I'm curious about the app. Is this something, because I went to the website, to be honest, is this something that is already working in several organizations in production?
Actually, not yet. We are on the level of really starting it up. One thing that we learned, and this is really the humbleness, because I thought, we are already ready. We started to test it, and this is not working. This is not working from the technicality point of view. But actually, we are working how to improve the experience on the virtual base, because face to face it was working perfectly.
All right. Okay. Because there are already a few innovation management platforms out there, and everything starts with collecting ideas, capturing ideas from users. Platforms such as Bright Idea, Q Markets, Itonics. One of our previous guests was from Itonics, and they all cover in different but similar way idea management and then prototype management. Itonics is trying to bring artificial intelligence to help you to review ideas, because what happens when we have an organization with 60,000 employees and everybody is submitting an idea, in 2 days we have 40,000 ideas. How do we review which ideas should progress? And that might happen to you as well, which is a good problem.
It's a good problem, and I think each time whenever people are just, because one thing, just to have a fun, we created also kind of a napkin, because the biggest ideas are always starting with the napkins. So when we are having face-to-face meeting, we are distributing the napkins to take the notes. And this is, you know, every big idea starts with the notes in the coffee, in the coffee shop. So I think what I'm really encouraging, and we're encouraging people, hopefully it will come with the bigger momentum. Idea is the first step. Implementation is and coming back with the kind of experimenting follow-up is critical to get the reflection, to get the improvement.
You are trying to bring physical elements to the process, not just a digital platform. That's something different.
Actually, it started with the full dedication or full focus on the meeting people to people. I strongly believe if you see people, I'm a fan of technology for the sake of benefit and for the profit. Just by the way, technology is something that today we don't even see. It's a little bit like a magic. You don't really understand that technology is behind it. It just works. But I think to touch, to feel, to see the face or the body language, you cannot do it better.
Okay, I'm talking too much. Feel free, all participants, feel free to unmute and ask questions. Everybody's a bit shy. Oh, Ben, you are here.
Yeah, sorry, it was a few minutes late.
Come on, 10 push-ups and you are sorted.
Sorry. Actually, it was a good excuse. I was meeting with someone who I met earlier from the Innovation Cafe. So and our conversation, of course, went a little bit long. So, because as the innovation minds do, they tend to go on and on. So I think this is fantastic, because I've been like, as an innovation manager. So I work for Caterpillar, the big construction equipment company, and I find the need to like get in the car and like drive places, because we have, you know, factories all over Illinois, and it might be 2 or 3 hours, and I feel the need to like go there and be with people, even and it's not only because of the meetings that I schedule ahead of time, it's because of the people that I run into while I'm there. And it's and I think just the nature of doing innovation is the fact that it's so uncertain means that you need these serendipitous, like running into people type conversations that you never planned. And it's not existent at all during COVID times. And so everything has to be planned now. And and it frustrates me. And so I'm really interested to see what this might become. And I'm curious about the format a little bit. Do you like post a topic and there's like a news feed, and as someone who might give feedback, am I flipping through a news feed? Or is it like you're going to broadcast worldwide? You're going to give someone a 15-minute slot to broadcast worldwide and get real-time feedback?
I don't know if I understood the question properly, but first of all, the selection of the topics to be discussed is done a little bit by the administrator of the system.
Okay.
So we've got the list of the questions. Some of the questions, sometimes they are, I would say, better. They are less, some of them, they are less better, if I can put it diplomatically.
Mm-hmm.
So normally we are organizing 1, 2, sometimes 3 sessions, but I think it happened only once. And what is extremely important that those questions, you can see also the participants' profiles on the chart, who is, for example, sport, who is musician, etc. And then when you put those people in one room, they are starting to discuss, and they are happy to share what they learned. But so far we didn't broadcast it further than in those networks that happened.
Okay.
And if I can jump in and help with one very important thing, maybe what we should be bold here, that even if during the one meeting is 40 per person, 50, whatever, always there are meet in 4-person groups, like the table of 4. So, and in each table, there's one topic, choose from this group.
The table of 4, like in a real coffee shop, you mean?
Yeah. Thank you, Dominic. And guys, just for your information, Dominic is a co-inventor of coffee ideas from InWeDo. So we are learning and teaching each other. So this is kind of a reverse mentoring at the same time for both of us, because Dominic is a very digital person. At the same time, we have a full appreciation for the skills human to human. And if there is a possibility, we meet in 4. If not, 3 is minimum. So you can always break the meetings at least for 2 coffee with 3 people, for example. And what is extremely interesting, after the first session, the second session, when you ask, can we do the next? Everybody, yes, 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 because I have my problem. And they, so far at least, I really appreciated the fact that people enjoyed the first, even though that the first session, it was kind of a, I don't want to call it a mess, but kind of, because people are learning over the period of the session itself.
Walter, can I ask a question? Yeah, so thank you for that. It's a lovely presentation, and I can see the potential of it. And I understand from the presentation that basically you first assemble a group of diverse people in a physical location, and then you start the process of proposing problem statements and forming groups. But can this be used, say, in a large organization? I have in mind a friend's organization, which they have lots of software programmers doing, say, cybersecurity apps, but nobody talks to anybody else. And usually there is the resource within the organization to solve each other's problems, but they don't know that somebody else is there. Could you get within the company people, say, one evening every month together in the room, and once in a while sprinkle some outsiders, and then have people share their problem statements, and maybe something could happen? I know it's a bit narrow because it's within an organization.
No,
but
no,
do you
it's
think
not narrow. It's absolutely the problem we were challenged recently, because we were giving the offer to one of the banks.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the idea for the bank was, finally we didn't succeed, but I think it was a great opportunity for us to learn how it could be used. And exactly, we were thinking about creating the ritual of the every Thursday morning coffee for 15 minutes with this randomness for people from different sectors discussing different problems. And then funny thing was that we were, lightly said, accused that people will chit chat about anything. And we said, but that's fine. That will create a relation between people. And maybe out of those 10 chit chats, one solution will be brilliant, because nobody has thought about this kind of approach to the problem, which is already from 15 minutes discussion. I think by randomness, you create a relation, you create maybe the intimacy, and maybe you create something that will bring you the profit after this coffee. So that's one of the ideas how to use the coffee ideas inside the organization.
Right, and
to create a ritual of 15 minutes based on this coffee. And the scalability, Dominic, please correct me if I'm wrong. Today it's few hundred people, no problem. The algorithm will work it out. The challenge is how to meet them, but it's
a physical location that is the problem, right? Yeah.
We are already thinking about the holograms flying under the ceiling, but we are at the beginning.
Yeah, and like Waldek mentioned before, our main goal was to use technology, I mean the mobile phones, to connect people in the real world. And we do it in the offline world. And then, of course, when COVID came, we decided, okay, we have to move it into online. And then it's the moment, the challenge that we are facing now, how to make it all the solution, all the approach so easy to use, just when even the online limit, let's call it that way, appears, like each Tuesday about 9 a.m., like a virtual lunch for whole the organization, that everyone using, for example, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, whatever, can jump on, and then all the process with the coffee ideas. The coffee ideas, from my perspective, the app, of course, is something that helps with that, helps with the behavior, but the most important is the methodology, is the framework. And that's the way how now is the biggest challenge for us, to make it so smooth via the online, like everyone could concentrate on the topic, on the discussion, and then on the takeaways. What is very surprising for me from the first coffee ideas meetings, like even if one person, of course, describe the problem and rest-free discuss it and talk about it, all of them, every one of them, took something different for himself during this 15 minutes of the meeting. And that's so amazing for me.
And there's a question whether it's good for small or big organization. I think our experience was in cafeteria. I remember in local, it was like 12 people, and they were really happy to discuss 2 or 3 sessions. And one of the feedback we had at that time, that people told us, gosh, finally we talk like people. And I think that was a quite strong reference to set of values, that we are here to support each other. And I think that what was really striking to me, that people were really happy, and I can help you with this. People were just taking the telephones and calling, I got some friends who can help you. And that was kind of a problem solving on site. The other situation was that during this music festival, where we put really the musicians, the sports people, it was accidental people who came there. It was for 50 people, I think, that time. And we were supported by the students who were testing it before, just to how find each other, because it was a challenge, because they were just open. When you are matched to coffee table, 1 of 4, on your mobile, you've got the same color and same logo, and you can find with the smartphone the people to drink coffee with. So people are walking with this smartphones like this, and they are looking for each other. This is also fun. They are going for coffee and starting the sessions. So our experience so far is between 12 and 50 or 60 people.
One short question. I don't want to take up all the time, but I work in universities in Singapore, and I can imagine that in the information systems school, where there are students doing real, projects where they are designing software solutions, you could get a room full of students to sort of give each other help and ideas and create a collaborative culture, rather than each group trying to outdo each other. They can pool the collective thing. I know it's not leveraging on the diversity you're talking about, but I can see that.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because our source of diversity, or just kind of a definition of diversity, is also powered by passion. So imagine you meet someone who is good at football or the teamwork. He used to be a chief of scouts, and he has very kind of an ethical way of doing the things, hopefully. And you have someone who is a guitar player, he's playing solo, and they are meeting someone who is looking for something for the medical solutions, and they have some kind of a problem, which is, I don't know, it was fun. For example, I met the guy who was a social star here in the city we live, with the guy who is a fitness trainer and used to be the champion of the kettles, and the guy who is doing education, and they were discussing how to turn application for sport people, and and they started to talk each other, and they know now each other, and they are supporting each other after that meeting. So maybe it's a little bit weird, but when I saw those discussions, I started to believe maybe a little bit stronger in a kind of a randomness on purpose.
If I can jump in for a second, I think that Waldek is like really right, because if we look at the young generations, I work at the university as well. We understand diversity completely differently than the young generation. So it's not about the characteristics like we define, and not about these external features that normally we define the diversity. So sometimes it's really interesting to combine people from completely, let's say, different backgrounds, not related whatsoever, and they come up with some kind of crazy ideas that we probably wouldn't even think of. And it's great working with people who are actually younger, like 19, 20 years old, because they're having absolutely crazy ideas. And that's why I also encourage that we need to have this kind of young people in teams, because although we're trying to be up to date with technology, whatever it's like going on with like digital and stuff, some ideas would never even cross our minds if we didn't have this kind of young, fresh eye in the team. So this type of diversity, understood as maybe their interests, maybe their hobbies, or maybe just the way they feel comfortable on a daily basis. This is how we should understand it today. So basically, it changes like the way we looked at the innovation a few years ago, I think. So today we.
If I can build on what you said, one of the part of the society that finally we failed because they were invited, finally they didn't come, it was the senior people. My friend who was running this cafeteria, he's told me, I will bring some senior people for you to test also with them. And hopefully one day I will be able to cross the generations over the coffee, because nothing is better to just collect the wisdom and the energy and support each other also with that extreme ends, especially today when we live in the world when we hopefully live a little bit longer in the better health, even though COVID, but statistically, hopefully we will live longer.
Yeah, we
I have another. Oops, sorry, David.
Go ahead.
I have another question. So, so when you were doing this in person, what motivated people to come?
First test happened because it was tested in the university. So it was because I organized it on the International Faculty of Engineering in Łódź. This is the school which is by definition cross division. Mm-hmm. They are teaching people from different parts of the technical university, and those kids, teenagers, I would say, young adults, I would rather say, sorry for that, I hope nobody offends and pass it to them. But actually they were surprised, even though they know each other for a certain period of time, how deeply they could enter into somebody else's story, and without it, they didn't do it, but it was during the meeting. The rest of the meetings, I must say, I was encouraging people to come because they knew, for example, before events that we were organizing during the music festival. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard work, marketing work, to bring those people together. But rewarding thing was that nobody told me, Waldek, it was worth nothing. Mm-hmm. Today we are at the moment of thinking what could be attractive, and we see that the things that we were discussing before during those sessions during the music festival, which is a creativity from music or teamwork from sport, now become part of the mainstream, how to find the innovation in the world which is converging the sectors. So for me, it's a little bit too early to say really what is the sales pitch, apart from referring to the trends that actually I'm observing into the world, that everybody needs innovation.
So it sounds a little bit like when you were doing it in person, it was they may not have necessarily. Do you think they had a problem in mind when they were showing up in person, or was it more just like discussing what they were working on in general?
I can repeat a little bit what I said before. They were surprised themselves with the speed. Maybe that's kind of a limitation of time as well, because people felt stressed It's 15 minutes, I need to jump in and feel responsible to support each other. But I think what was extremely important that people were telling me, that set of values based on which they need to discuss and which is giving them the comfort that if I am happy with your success, it's okay. If I am helping you, it's okay. And the set of values started to be kind of a backbone in which they felt that they created the team. So like 15 years ago, when I started to work for Philips, I said it was set of values: support each other, exceed the expectations, etc. Then I went to Skanska. It was also very value-based. It's a very value-based company. I was so convinced, but more and more I am now I'm 20 plus in the business. I see the value of the values. I would say that this is giving you really the context, how you feel safe. And if you find people, if you find the collaboration based on those values, you just go faster, and you start to trust.
No, I really like your view on that. I think that's really good. I'm just thinking too about these serendipitous conversations that I am missing during COVID. Is I didn't always have a problem in mind, right? Like I might show up to the coffee shop just wanting to talk about what I'm working on, and I may not know that I have a problem until I meet someone and they're like, you should really talk to this guy, right? Because you're gonna hit a speed bump that this guy's already hit before, and so I'm curious to see if the app can generate the same thing where there's not a preconceived problem in mind.
Could be by asking the questions from different perspectives. It's always kind of a new discovery if you are open enough to share, to expose yourself to a certain extent. And also by randomness, you can discover the things that you have never thought because you are so diving into your problem or into your challenge. If you think about the coffee shop actually, or coffee place, one of the concepts was that if we, because to get the momentum, we were just thinking together with Dominic that maybe one day we should have a coffee place here and there, which is organizing coffee ideas hours. And then you create the kind of a magnet for people to come. I want to meet on random basis someone who can be living in the value support and have this. If you maybe know, in the time when the Cambridge and Oxford was created in London, Hugo, it was concept called penny universities. By buying a coffee by pence, you could meet professor from the university and to get knowledge without going to university that nobody else could get. So this is a little bit the follow-up of the concept, which is by natural way getting the knowledge, but you just need to be open and find someone who is open as well. So I want to say this is for everybody. Hopefully, although when we were talking with the people after those sessions, it was kind of a release that they realized that they can participate in such event with such openness and feel comfortable.
One thing you also mentioned during the problem statement when the slide was on, during the events happen very often something like first session, there's about, let's assume 50 people, there's about few topics only, and some of them are not so well described. So that's the moment when the one person should from the administration should choose which topics are okay, well defined to start. And after first session, after first 15 minutes, a lot of new topics appear in the Coffee Dias. That's something which happens in each Coffee Dias event, like from 10 topics, then suddenly to 20 or even more topics appear. And that's what happened during the coffee event. Like first is the trust to come, trust to the values. Then is the moment with first session, everyone is really curious how it's working. And then when take part in the first 15 minutes, they see, oh my God, it's really working. And my problem, which I got inside, it's a good problem to put it down here. And then, okay, I get back, I put my problem statement, and then I'm waiting for the next session. And can go on. And that's which appears during first test with the students, during the big conference, during the event in the coffee shop, and so on, even online. Our assumption is at least 2 sessions should be during one event. That's the magic what happen, about the problem, about the discussion, about the openness, and about the feeling that was great that I was here and take part. I share something, so I really I'm glad that I share my knowledge, my experience, and I also take something away with me. So that's my point of view. That's what I'm really proud of.
Thanks, Dominic. Just one more comment. From what I hear, I imagine, and maybe you've had this experience with repeated interactions. Yes, first you attract the kind of people who resonate with the values, and then they experience that this is really what I'm looking for, I've always been looking for. And as they do multiple rounds, they get more and more confident, they contribute more, they take the risk of putting out a question. And this, first it collects a community of similar people with similar values. Then it deepens those values by experience. So I think that's a great thing in itself. Some people will just not come because they look at these values and they go like, I don't celebrate somebody else's success. I just care about my own. And so those people won't come. But you assemble this community, and that's a great outcome. The other thing I wonder, can it be used for an organization to do team building? You got a new team, they've never met each other before. You got this new guy who joined during COVID-19. Onboarding is difficult because people don't meet in the office anymore. Can you use this to sort of get to know each other in an intense way? Do you see that happening?
Yes. When you open the app, it's very simple at that stage of the lean development of the idea. That's you put your name, you put your role or your title, and then you select which area you are expert or which area you have expertise. Of course, the definition of the areas could be changed in the admin panel. So that's the place when you can make some structure of the group, like how many there are thinkers, doers, whatever, or they are like from the startup community or from business, from public, whatever. And based on that, of course, first our assumption when system is make the lottery and choose 4 persons to meet at one place. Of course, there's have to be 1 person with the topic, with the problem, and then system is looking in the area that I choose. So trying to make the randomness, like Waldek mentioned before, and boarded the randomness here is made by the system. Like, okay, if there's someone from startup community, for example, from public sector, from business, or there's like a teacher or student or sports, whatever. That's the idea, to meet different expertise in at one table for 15 minutes.
And just to add on this, I think onboarding today is extremely important. No, it's extremely difficult. Without meeting people, getting trust to the others, for sure it will not solve all the problems. I think the main intention of that concept is to show your private part, or to show something that maybe somebody else will not discover in the first way, in the first step. And it can break some stiff discussion. You need to be, normally you would stimulate it during the party, etc., etc. But by doing this, you create kind of an intellectual party as well. So with that being said, what I really want to say, I hope that this kind of a discussion creates more human approach. Because somebody, I don't like science fiction. So I like historical films and I'm very fan of this and that. Sometimes those discussions are really from the value creation for the company. They are pointless apart from creating good relation, which is already, I think, good case. And I've got some comment from Steph Hamill about I need to feel purpose. If it's to be commented or if it's to be answered, I'm not sure, Steph.
That was in relation to a comment that you made quite a while ago now.
Okay. Sorry, so, I didn't catch it.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one more thought, right? Is it like I don't know if emotional intelligence is the right word or not, but there's some level of maturity to know that you need to enter this environment to build on your ideas, right? And to make them better. And so I'm thinking through, like, if I have a specific problem, I'm going to search for the App Store and find coffee ideas, and I'm going to try it out. But how do you then capture other people, how do you maybe get people, how do you educate people, right, to invest some time in just becoming a part of one of these, even though they may not have a specific problem in mind?
Our last experience was that we were actually asked to team up with one of the training company who were asked by this big bank to prepare the talents development during the COVID time. And I said, we will prepare to that bank. They said, we will prepare for you kind of a training about creativity, etc., etc. At the same time, you want kind of a relation enhancement for your people. And by doing this, I think Coffee Ideas needs to have an owner in certain organization. You need to have someone who will drive it. You need to have someone who will be kind of a host, maybe not administrator as well to a certain extent, but you need to have ambassador. For example, the owner of the coffee shop. Hey guys, if you want to be creative, let's come to me. I will help you to meet each other. But still we are in the very beginning, and I don't want to call it only fun. One day maybe it will be something more serious. We are working on it, how to support that. But without certain support and selling message into the organization, it's difficult. It's not fly itself. You need to have someone who will manage the information, who will organize the events or these rituals, as we said, on weekly basis.
Isn't that trying to, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, trying to come up with a new methods, for instance, on design thinking, okay? It's quite popular. In many of the methods that you've described here are also part of design thinking as a body of knowledge to ideate, to select the right problem, and then moving into the prototype space where we can apply different methods, low-fi, high-fi, before deciding to invest on that solution. I think there's a bit of that. For instance, time boxing. That's a very famous technique in the design space. There's a time timer. Just go on Google time timer. It's a clock where you can buy, and that creates that pressure. Even Miro.com is implementing the clock. If you go on Miro.com, the famous whiteboard, digital whiteboard, by using the design thinking methods in Miro, we can do a bit of that. And then again, as I said, there are already a few innovation platforms out there to keep track of all of those ideas, the review process, where people can contribute to an idea and all of that. For instance, in large scale organizations, it's quite popular that we imagine the two of us working at BP. We can come up with the same idea and we work in different offices. But how do we know that? And this type of innovation management platforms, they can tell you immediately when you are typing, look, that person is suggesting something similar to your idea. Do you want to collaborate? And then you get to know each other and you can collaborate on that idea. So my question is, are you trying to come up with new methods that brings a bit of design thinking in the innovation platform at the same time? And what is the problem that you are trying to solve? Is it ideation and collaboration in the post-COVID world, where there's a new reality where we don't meet at a coffee machine?
Post-COVID is just opportunity for us. We didn't think the moment we started to create it, because as I said, we were really believing in real meetings, and sometimes with this kind of a projects, I think that it's extremely important to get the feedback fast, not to get obsessed by passion that it's a great idea. So we are open to get the feedback if we are going to good direction, or at least we are not inventing something which is useless. So first of all, we have never thought about that step, which is collecting the ideas and sharing it inside the organization, although it's possible because all the questions are archived, and maybe solutions could be archived as well. You can add this feature to this application. I think there's a nice comment about stories, about success stories on implementation. I think we reached the moment in this application when we see that it works from the ideas point of view. The next step, what I really say, what is extremely important, how to implement those ideas. And one of the successes of that application is how to create the sustainable network of the people who can support each other. But if you are asking me about those features that you just asked, we are not there yet, I would say.
It's part of the roadmap. That's usually
could be just a new point on the roadmap that you just mentioned.
No, just playing devil's advocate here. I really like the concept. That's why we are here talking today. And the fact that you are trying to blend the digital world with the physical world, I think that can make a big difference. For instance, that template. Can you show again the napkin? That napkin. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we can see because of the yeah. That's pretty cool.
It's really the idea. In the coffee places, you see sometimes the big guys sitting and writing the big businesses in 2 rows of the mathematics and say, it will fly. Now give it to team, they will work it out. So, but the idea starts with the napkin notes. So that was kind of how to say reference to the big ideas that changed the world. I don't dare to say that it's the case, but just to have some fun, we are creating the stories. What big ideas were started with the napkin notes?
So I have 4 sentences. I think the 15 minutes constraint and the napkin constraint forces people to focus. Secondly, this professor at the Swiss Business School, IMD, called Cole Reiser, advocates that when we talk, we should limit ourselves to 4 sentences at a time. That forces you to make your point, and it prevents you from talking on and on.
You are right. You know, Mark Twain, this is one of my most favorite guy who is delivering the quotes, said, I didn't have a lot of time, that's why I wrote the long letter instead of the short one. To create a short letter, you need to really be prepared and work hard. So I want people to be focused. I want people to be here a little bit like a laser focus that Bruce Lee mentioned. Also, some people are telling me, no, I need, this is also about the Pareto rule. First, just really focus on something, test it, learn, fail, whatever, but just do it. But do it with the reflection. And I'm referring a little bit, Hugo, what you said about design thinking. Maybe, yeah, this is really about prototyping, testing, learning, prototyping, testing, but it's really about something which is moving things forward.
Mm-hmm. I want to say I love the napkin concept as well. One story from my end is my dad from in the 1960s worked at an Air Force base in California. And this was, he was in the Air Force because NASA hadn't been formed yet. And so they were doing a lot of fancy, smart people things that I don't feel I should be related to. But, but they're in the bars where they went drinking at night. On the napkins, they had graph paper so that they could draw charts on the napkins at the bar. So I thought that was pretty fun.
I guess this is the opportunity for Rafael to say hello, because as we can all see, he's from the Air Force. So
excellent.
We have diversity here in the room, which is okay. Absolutely. Any more questions? We are running out of time.
Hello all. So Rafael here. I've made my remark in the military. Lunchtime is sort of sacred. Everyone eats together with the teams, and so and although many times we talk about work, most of the times we don't, and that's we have lunch and then we have coffee all together every day, and it's a major contribution to build relationships and exchange ideas. And so from my standpoint, COVID-19, that's been the I'm working from home. I'm an aircraft engineer. Most of what I do is this design, is paperwork. And so that's the thing I miss the most. And it's hard, even though we have WhatsApp and Slack and Teams and Zoom, we are connected, but it's not the same. And so we tend to speak more or focus more on work and less on other ideas that, as was stated before, has a lot of impact, because those ideas not about work help us develop better team relationships, and many times they can help bring innovation and other ways of working. So yeah, I've enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you very much. And guys, I would not be myself if I do not share it with you. I shared it also a few minutes ago during other presentation. This is the guy, maybe you know, Daniel Libeskind. He is from the city I live. I get the opportunity to meet with him. He is the famous architect. He was doing, for example, the Museum of Jewish in Berlin. He was doing the concept of the Ground Zero reconstruction in New York. But this is exactly what we say, and that's why I strongly believe I really wanted people to meet. He said that the real culture and innovation creates when different people meet between the buildings. So I think this is exactly what we say, and by doing this in the virtual way, we really wanted to support what is happening during the COVID, even though we strongly believe that face-to-face meeting is a fundamental thing for the creativity. So that's all from our side, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for your questions and any feedback. We will be more than happy to get some nasty questions as well, if you can help us to get some feedback that can do things in a better way. So, thank you.
All right, I think we all have your LinkedIn contact now, so feel free to connect if you are not already connected. Let me say thank you again for your presentation, and thanks to all the participants. The Innovation Cafe, I think, is a good example of how we can easily get to know each other. We are all innovators somehow. We are all trying to teach, to educate organizations to become better. So we are trying to future-proof our organizations, and you can learn a lot from each other. So yeah, hopefully we will see each other next week, including you, Waldek. It was a pleasure. And by the way, let's try to use coffee ideas in our own organization. Ben, I think Caterpillar is a very good one. I just take 10% of your profit then, Waldek, okay?
No, let's do it. Let's talk. I wanna see how it might be able to work.
Okay.
Good.
Happy to try. Thank you, guys.
Just
thank you for your contribution.
Put this lead on your CRM. It's an opportunity already.
Thank you, guys.
Stay safe, guys. Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Have a great night. Bye.